Okay, what's up, guys? This is going to be the Latin 2.5 study guide review where I give the answers. Forgot to hit record during third period yesterday, so I'll just do it this way. This way it'll be more succinct, I suppose. So I'm going to mention to you guys, I considered possibly making two different finals for fourth period and third period cyber soldiers, but I'm just going to go with one, and it's a chapter kind of 9 through 15 type review, and so it's basically like the last midterm you guys took. I know I'm a broken record about this, but we will be back up to passive voice and stuff like that in past chapter 18 by February. We are going to get to chapter 30 by May. So you guys are totally on track to finish the textbook. Just want to keep reminding you of that. And you just kind of have the chance for the next month and a half or so, really just kind of a month now, to review these chapters. And these are the chapters where things start to get kind of difficult. So I guess it makes sense. So I'm going to go over the answers, but we have 15 multiple choice and fill in the blank. Those will appear identically on the midterm, but I reserve the right to scramble the order of the questions up a little bit, and I might even move the order of the answers around. So obviously don't spend any time being like, oh, number one's going to be A, number two's going to be B. Obviously, number one's not going to be a letter. But yeah, so don't just try to memorize it like that, obviously. The fill in the blanks, which 1, 2, 3, and 14 and 15 fill in the blanks. Those you're just going to have to remember. There's going to be no word bank for them. Then there's an 8-word vocab section, a little tiny vocab section. And then we have 5 sentences. I'm going to pick 3 of them and have fill in the blank questions for 2 of them. And now let's go over all of this. So it's basically the entire study guide, except it's less sentences. All right. So we'll be talking about perfect tense and a lot of chapter 13 pronouns. So number one, the thing's in the way there, but let's see, I guess I can put the maybe. So yeah, I just want you guys to be able to differentiate hic and illa. So hic is this and these if it's singular or plural respectively, whereas illa and ista are that and those. If illa and ista are singular or plural respectively. So 2.5 kids, you might know this by now, but hic is for something that's closer, whereas illa and ista are for things that are kind of further away. Number 8, or number 3, is about these 8 adjectives that we get in chapter 9. Some of them don't come up too much, but it's worth thinking about them because they are just, they're going to be potentially around for the rest of your Latin education. And it's good to know that they mostly decline like normal first and second declension adjectives. But for whatever reason, their genitive singular and dative singular is a little odd. So if you look, that's an example of solus, which means alone or only, and alias, which borrows Altair's genitive. But they get the IUS, that IUS ending for their genitive, and they get a long I, which is third declension style for their dative. And like I said, everything else is normal first and second. So that's why those 2 endings really stand out. And that's all of them down there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which one am I leaving out? I think it's nullus. So I have olus there, any, but nullus is like no or none. So yeah, you need to know those. And so it's IUS and long I. So yeah, fill in the blank, no word bank. You're just going to need to be able to remember that. But I think y'all are kind of used to that by now. Number 4, fourth conjugation verbs end in blank and conjugate in the future tense like third conjugation verbs. Oh, wait, okay, my slide is out of date. Y'all's slide says something like it has the actual endings is what it's supposed to have. And so the answer, I believe, is D. So it's a long IRE for fourth conjugation. That's what the answer is supposed to be. So it's D. First, obviously, is ARE. I think that'll be under A. Second is long ERE, probably under B, actually. And then C would be a short ERE for third. Number 5, personal pronouns become blank ones. Ones. Okay, I see. I thought that was a typo. They become blank ones when they agree with the subject in person and number, so that they become reflexive. Well, they become reflexive. They become reflexive pronouns. So this is just that thing where it's like all these personal pronouns that we get in chapter 11, they can either function personally or reflexively depending on the context. The function reflexive, where it's like instead of translating may as me, it'll be myself, if they agree in person and number with the subject. So that is a complicated and boring way of saying, say our subject is ego, or like our verb is first person singular and the subject's I. If may then shows up in the sentence, we won't say I praise me, because that sounds weird. We'll say I praise myself, and myself is the reflexive version of that. Same for all the second person ones there up in the upper right corner. And then third person ones are a little unique. They actually get their own separate pronoun if they're trying to accomplish this reflexive quality. So that's the sui, sibi, say, which depending on what the subject is, whether it's a dude or a woman or it's multiple people, it's going to be, his or herself or itself. So, yep, reflexive. And then we're skipping ahead apparently to number 6. 2 ablative types that lack a Latin preposition. That's means. Obviously, our mnemonic is ablative of means. It's a mean ablative because they don't give us a cum that we have to supply ourselves. And there is a ablative of time when that we get in chapter 15, which we looked at briefly on Monday. But just to show you that again, if an ablative word, or I'm sorry, yeah, if a noun that describes a period of time, which we only have a few of those, tempus temporis, time, ora, ori, hour, or time. If they show up in the ablative and there's nothing else next to them in terms of like a preposition, you'll know it's an ablative of time when, and you can use at, on, in, or within to translate them. This next one, what 3-letter sequence appears in every pluperfect ending? It is ERA, as you can see here. Whereas normal perfect tense endings are kind of unique for the most part, except for third singular and first plural, which look kind of present tensey to me. Pluperfect is very consistent and easy to identify because that ERA sequence is showing up in all of them. And the way you translate a pluperfect verb is with had, is number 8. Obviously not have or has, he's. Number 9, which one's not a pronoun? Ipsa, say, suos, or hic. Cora impressively in third period said it was suos, which is right. Ipsa is an intensive pronoun, like it'd probably be something like she, herself, depending on the context. Say is a third person reflexive pronoun that we're just looking at. It'd be like himself or herself as a direct object or ablative. Hic, so hic and illa, they might not feel like pronouns in the same way. Words like I, you, we, all, they are. But this and that are pronouns. If you stop and think about it, it's like, what else would they be? They're definitely not like adjectives. They almost kind of function in an adjective kind of way in that they like often go with nouns, but they're not, aren't actually adjectives. They're not like just normal nouns. So the only thing they really fit into is pronouns, this and that. So anyway, suos there is a reflexive, possessive adjective, not a pronoun. So just like how meus, tuus, noster, and vester function as these kind of like they're technically adjectives, but they almost feel like they're in a pronoun category because they have this like possessive energy that describes what something belongs to or who something belongs to. Suos is the third person version of them. So meus and noster are first person versions, where it's like my or my own if the subject is first person. Our for noster or our own if the subject is nos, we, so on and so forth. And sua, so second per tuus and vester are second, and suus, sua, suum, it's gonna be third. All right, sorry, I think I was confusing just then for the past 10 seconds or so. Number 10, what auxiliary helping verb or helping verb? Auxiliary is the fancy word for helping verb. Which you don't know, it's like, it's not. Anyway, I got a bone to pick about this word. Okay. Auxiliary. Like, shouldn't that be said auxiliary? But everyone says it auxiliary. But that's like this. Okay. Anyway, what helping verb is necessary for translating the perfect tense? And you guys know that. It's has or have. But as we have learned and as I'm deciding to kind of teach it now, you can always translate imperfect and perfect as just verb and just leave it there and not worry about helping verbs. But sometimes there's certain like instances where you want to be a little more nuanced. And so was or were verbing is good for imperfect or even used to verb every once in a blue moon. And those are the bomb, spot, forms. Or if it's perfect, you might use has or have. But don't use had unless it's pluperfect. Because for pluperfect, you have to bust out that helping verb. But you don't really have to bust out a helping verb for perfect. It can just be verbed, just like imperfect. Future perfect, you need two helping verbs, will and have. All right, number 11, what preposition is used to translate the ablative with a cardinal number? That would be of. So this is like in a sentence like octo ex discipulis. This is something that starts happening as of chapter 15, the one I just introduced / reintroduced. This would just be 8 of the students. So in other contexts, X means from or like out from. But when it's between a cardinal number and an ablative, we call that ablative the ablative with a cardinal number. Go figure. And we translate X as of. Number 12, which preposition is not used to translate the ablative time when? We wouldn't use of. We might use in, at, or within, but we wouldn't use of. So it kind of just depends on what we say in English. Like ao tempora would be like at that time. If it was just nocte, night in the ablative, we wouldn't say in the night. We'd say at night. If it's mone, a word I don't really have for morning, it'd be in the morning because that's just what we say in English. We don't say at the morning. So on and so forth. It's going to depend whether you use in, at, or within. What else can you use in it or on, like on that day? But don't use of. It would be totally different. Number 13, which pronoun can be translated as either himself, herself, itself, themselves, either one or all? This is kind of a confusing question. I'm trying to make a point. All of these could actually end up as one or more of these reflexive pronouns that we have here. Because ipsa, it's an intensive pronoun. Sometimes it's by itself, like ipsa, if it was all by itself, it'd be like he himself. But usually it's kind of showing up with a buddy, like Cicero ipsa, Cicero himself. But yeah, so like you could get himself or any, I mean, with the E there, it would probably just be himself and be IPSA for if we were doing a feminine version, herself. But you might, itself might occur if we're talking about like an inanimate object that just happens to be masculine. But anyway, and these third person reflexive pronouns, again, depending on the gender, will either be translated as like himself, herself, or itself. Sui is a gender, so it'd be like of itself, to itself, dative, and this gets accusative or ablative. So it might be with a preposition, it might be just the object of a verb. And then number 14, 15 are weird. Okay, so I'll already have ablative written there on the test, and you guys will write these in, sine, de, ex, and sub are prepositions that take ablatives, whereas propter, post, ad, and now in as well take accusatives. Remember, in taking an accusative is into the accusative, whereas in taking ablative is just in or on. And then we have some vocab here. I want you guys, these are like very things I've taught in the past in a more kind of grammar type way. I want you to know them in a vocabulary type way, if that makes sense, just like in terms of looking at them. And even if you don't know that AS is genitive, knowing that AS is going to mean like his or her. I'll just kind of click through. So AS is genitive, third person personal pronoun, but it's the same for all genders. So it's going to be his, her, hers, or even its. So you can put its if you want, but his or her is fine. Am, same third person personal pronoun as AS, but this is the accusative form. So that's him, her, or them if it's like a genderless thing that you don't want to use him or her for. Suis, sua, suum, that is a third person reflexive possessive adjective we were just talking about. So it'll be like his own or her own or their own. Again, whether it's his, her, or its or their own, it's going to depend on what the subject is. It depends on if the subject is a he, she, it, or they. Nos. So nos can either be a first person plural personal pronoun in the nominative, meaning it's subject, in which case it'd be we, or it can be an accusative nos, which would be us. Right? So like we are the subject of the sentence versus like you, a subject, teach us, a direct object. So same word, but depending on if it's subjective or objective will make a difference. Tibi is the, why did I write? What I meant to write was dative. So you guys won't have to write the case on the test. So I'm writing genitive and accusative and dative by some of these. I just need you guys to write the actual, like what it means itself, like his or her, him, her, etc. You don't have to write the cases, but you can if you want to. Tibi and me here are both dative, so that's to you, second person, to me, first person. Eos and eos are plural, third person, accusative, personal pronouns. So we don't gender plural pronouns in English, so we would just use them, regardless of whether it's accusative, masculine or feminine. And then e is that weird dative. So it'd be like to him or her, depending on the gender of the person in question. And then we have these sentences. So studium literarum nobis multam sapientiam dedit. This is, I mostly picked this one because dedit is one of the weirdest perfect tense forms of a verb we have. It's of dodare, right? So it's like the study of literature gave or has given much wisdom nobis to us, right? If I pick this one, so I'm going to pick 3 of these, and 2 of them will have like just like one set of fill in the blanks. And the fill in the blanks will be asking about the person, number, and tense of a verb, or the case, maybe number, maybe function of a noun. So if I pick this one, I would only ask about dedit being third, singular, perfect. And the only other thing I might ask about is nobis being dative. That's all. I would ask the case of nobis, and that's it. Because if you look at our chart down to the lower left, nobis could be ablative or dative plural for like to us if it's dative, or a preposition plus us, it's ab. But here it's dative, so I'd want you to tell me it's dative, and that its function is indirect object. I guess I would ask that too. I mean, that's like the function of pretty much all our dative still at this point. I would not ask about literarum or multum sapientiam. Also, in terms of resources, let's see. I'll keep the noun and verb chart flipped around, honestly, at the top, the front of the class, and y'all can like go look at that if you need to, or use your own noun and verb chart. But I don't want y'all to have any like vocab resource things involved, especially for this vocab section, right? Like if you just wrote these all down. Now, I am letting former 1.5 kids have a vocab resource. But if you were always kind of a Latin 2 kid, meaning you've had me since like, 6th grade, then you're not. So that really just goes for Braden, Caden, Sarah, Alyssa, Sadie, Adrian, did I already say him, and Andrew. Anyway, okay, so there's that one. There's the actual translation. You might want to pause if you need to get that. I'll keep moving. There's this one. Here, I would maybe ask about the verb being third plural imperfect. We have a dropped subject because nothing is nominative plural, so we just need to use they. So they sent or were sending. Sent probably sounds a little better. They sent him, Aam, add Aam, to her with the other farmer. So there's some good vocab here, and we have 2 examples of third person personal pronouns. One's mask, one's fem. They're both accusative, but they're different kinds of accusative. The first one's a direct object. The second one is a object of the prep add. Okay, let's see. I wouldn't ask about alio. Well, no, I didn't tell the other kids. That's an ablative of accompaniment, which is good to know, but I won't ask about that. Let's see. On account of what kind of clouds? We just got nubes in chapter 15, illas nubes. On account of those clouds and the fear of the sea, sailors remained or were remaining in Asia. What would I ask about in this one? Remanebant, I guess it's third plural imperfect, just like the last verb, right? And number 2, that's about it. Timorum and nubes are accusative because they're the object of prop but I don't think I'd even really ask about them. All right, number, was it 3, 4? Femina amica, vobis anti illam oram, litera suas miserit. So this one, I would ask about this verb's person, number, and tense. And unlike the first few, I think it's actually a little difficult. If you look down at mito mitra to send, we can tell, or we should be able to tell, it's one of the perfect tenses. And it's actually what perfect tense? It's future perfect. And this amica here is not the noun friend. It's right next to femina, so it must be the adjective friendly. It's identical, but just kind of context based, or context wise, we can make that assessment. So the friendly woman will have sent, right? That's the crazy way to translate the future perfect. That almost never shows up because you need will and have verbed. Will have sent to y'all her own letters before that hour. So literos suos is the direct object, whereas illam oram before that hour is the object of anti. Anti takes an accusative. And vobis, just like nobis in number 1, is dative. So if I pick this one, I'd ask about the verb being third singular future perfect. And I might ask about the case of vobis. Wait, who's This is interesting. Hey Jackie, real quick. I'm doing the study guide for. Oh wait, we have multiple people. So this is useful. This is useful. Let me just explain something. Jameson and whoever else that is, I think it's Jackie. This is not the 1.5 class. I'm going to be streaming 1.5 every day at 7:45 for first period or 12 o'clock. Oh, it is 12 o'clock. So y'all probably think this is fifth period. Today they're rehearsing the music or the Christmas concert thing. So they're not in here yet. We will have this class eventually in like 30 more minutes, I think. But yeah, anyway, so y'all can leave. I'm just doing a study guide for another class that isn't y'all's. But tomorrow, and also it's recorded. It's recorded under files. If you look under files, it says like 12. Oh, what is today? 7:07 maybe. It says like study guide or midterm. But anyway, yeah, y'all don't need to hang out here. But anyway, sorry that's confusing. Please chat me if you want any clarification on that. And good luck with your e-learning, both of you. Okay, back to this. So, but yeah, just to reiterate, I'll turn on the stream again in like 30 minutes when fifth period actually starts. But you probably just want to watch a recording of that class, which is already posted under files, or it's on my YouTube page. So this one, he is going to be translated as these men. Okay, we can add men ourselves because it is the masculine nominative plural form. And we come back to Cicero after we look at Iuncseront, which is perfect of Iungo, Younger to join. So these men joined or have joined Cicero himself. Cicero is being intensified by ipsum with themselves, right? So you can attach cum to the end of any pronoun if it's as long as it's ablative, because cum takes an ablative. So it's with themselves for they had, because delixerant is actually pluperfect, always loved him. Am there is direct object him. So this is normal, like perfect, whereas this is pluperfect. So we have a nice little example of the difference there. And then, oh, that's the last one. So that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. And hopefully y'all can play Jeopardy on Thursday. All right. I'll see you guys later. And again, Jameson, I will start a stream, but it should be under, I'm under 2.5 right now, aren't I? Oh, I am doing it 1.5. Okay, that's why you and Jackie clicked. All right. Yeah. I might start the same Zoom again in like 20 minutes. So you might want to check back in, Jameson. But see you later for now.